Now, I mean, of course, I've read some Holocaust accounts, but I don't know. Reading this, you really kind of get a sense of what it's like to actually go through that. It really kind of puts you right in the situation. I felt
Yeah.
like, and it just seems like the situation just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and he thinks it can't get any worse than this, and then he says how wrong I was, and it just gets
Right.
worse from there. Because first, the Nazis invade Poland where he lives, and he's just he would have been 14 when the invasion happened, and then he gets dragged off to a work camp, and then he finds that his family has all been taken from their homes and probably dead, and then he gets moved to a different camp, and he has to throw dead bodies in ovens, and it gets even worse after that. What I noticed too, in the really kind of dark, shocking scenes, Kleist's art intentionally gets a little kind of messier or more kind of abstract.
Cloudy. In fact,
Yes.
it's actual clouds at times.
Yeah, like the body burning scene, you just see kind of the silhouettes of these little carts full of bodies, and which is plenty. You get the idea, but and then he will just put in like these big splotches of ink as background, or yeah, then there's the smoke, of course. But it's something interesting that comics can do. That I mean, you could do something like that in a movie, but it would be, I think it would be a little more challenging. In movies, things tend to look really real and not abstract,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's a little too much. Where here, you get the idea and you can be sufficiently shocked by it, but it's not overwhelming.
Yeah, I think that's right. There's a couple things I think that the comic book form lets him do. I mean, the shift in perspective from the son to him, I guess you could pull off in a movie, but it would probably feel a little clunkier
Mm.
than it does here, where I think what he does with the at the end is he has a blank page,
Hmm.
and then it kind of takes a couple moments back, and you kind of repeat a couple lines of dialogue, and then you realize you're with the son's perspective once again. In a movie that would probably feel like a little strange of a shift. And the same thing in what you're describing. I think that move from the more realistic drawing to the more abstract, where the artist really does save us a little bit. And he even says it in one interview. At the point where he murders people after he
After he
escapes,
escapes, yeah.
and he murders people. Apparently, there were a series of murders,
Yeah, we
and
see 3. Hmm.
right, we get saved from one of the apparently more brutal ones. And so it feels like it's very conscious choice on the artist's part to give us enough to feel it, but to not really work us over as a reader. Yeah.
Hmm.
If there was
Yeah.
anything, if I could just add to that in terms of what we as readers feel, one of the things that maybe was a slight disappointment to me, because it was the way in which you go through the man's life with such speed, the various episodes of his life you go through with such speed. I mean, I think altogether it's 180 pages. Um, at some point, I almost would have liked to fall into one or two of the moments a little bit more fully. I don't know how you would pull it off. I mean, there was a lot to tell. There was definitely a lot of story to tell, a lot of episodes to get through. It sort of seems structured, right? It's got two narratives, and in fact, there's this one interview I read. The artist was very clear of there's two narratives that are going on, and it seems as if the two narratives are surviving the Holocaust and then a love story. And I feel like I got it, but I almost got it partly because I'm already aware of the atrocities of the Holocaust, and partly like it was almost I didn't quite get enough from the comic, but what I didn't get from the comic, I was able to fill in from just the cultural memory of, oh yes, this is really bad. This is going on, and maybe that's what the artist was going for. But there were moments where I kind of wished, slow down, give me 5 pages of falling in love so that I can really feel the impact of that love. Or give me 5 pages of that moment of escape or something where I could really hold on to it a little bit longer.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Those points of the story were pretty blink and you'll miss it.
Right.
Because he missed Leah all through the book, but you see that one quick love scene of them on a riverbank or something,
right?
And they're going to get married, and you don't quite get what he's feeling for her there. I think. I mean, do they really know each other?
Right, and that holds him to survive. I mean, that's meant to be kind of that. Repeatedly, he kind of is trying to, there's moments in the comic where he says, to just feel her hand on my hand once again. Well, I get it. I understand what he's saying, but it feels a little too abstract. I didn't kind of feel the full force of that love. So I probably would have liked a little more of that to be worked through in the comic itself.